Once upon a time, there lived a man named Daniel in a quiet town. Nothing about his life looked special from the outside. He had an average job, an average house, and average dreams. Every morning, Daniel woke up at the same time, took the same road to work, and returned home tired. But inside his mind, there was always a voice saying, "You were meant for more." Yet another voice always answered back, stronger and louder, "Not today. I'm tired. It's not the right time. Others have it easier." Daniel was a master at one thing, making excuses. When he was young, he wanted to be a writer. He used to tell people, "One day I'll write a book." But years passed and the book stayed inside his head. When asked why he never started, he smiled and said, "I don't have time." The truth was, he had time. He just used it to scroll, to watch, to complain, and to wait. Excuses are strange things. They sound reasonable. They feel safe. They protect us from failure, but they also protect us from success. Daniel told himself, "I'll start when my life is more stable." Then he said, "I'll start when I feel confident. Then I'll start when I have the right tools." But confidence never came. Life never slowed down, and the right time never arrived. One evening, Daniel met an old neighbor named Mr. Harris while taking out the trash. Mr. Harris was in his 70s, slow in movement but sharp in the eyes. Daniel had always known him as the man who fixed things around the neighborhood for free. Broken chairs, leaky taps, stuck doors. He fixed them all. That night, Mr. Harris asked a simple question. "Daniel, are you happy with your life?" The question hit harder than expected. Daniel laughed awkwardly and said, "I'm okay. Life is hard, you know, bills, work, responsibilities. I'll do what I want someday." Mr. Harris nodded and said, "Someday is the most dangerous word." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Mr. Harris smiled gently. "Someday means not today, and not today often turns into never." Daniel didn't respond. He just nodded and went inside, but that sentence stayed with him. The next morning, Daniel woke up with the usual feeling of heaviness. He looked at his phone, social media, news, other people's lives, people younger than him doing things he once dreamed of, and instantly the excuses returned. They're lucky. They had connections. They started early. He ignored the one truth staring him in the face. They started. He didn't. Excuses don't always sound like excuses. Sometimes they sound like logic. I need more knowledge first. I need motivation. I need support. But action doesn't come after motivation. Motivation comes after action. Daniel waited for motivation like someone waiting for permission to live. Weeks passed. Nothing changed. One Friday evening, Daniel received a message. His old college friend Kevin was hosting a small gathering. Daniel almost said no. He was tired. Long week. Same excuse. But something inside pushed him to go. At the gathering, people talked about life, jobs, families, failures, successes. Kevin shared something unexpected. "I quit my job last year," Kevin said. Daniel was shocked. "You had a good job. Why would you do that?" Kevin replied calmly. "Because I was making excuses. I kept saying I'd start my own business later. One day I realized later was killing me." Daniel asked, "Weren't you scared?" Kevin nodded, terrified. But excuses felt scarier. "I didn't want to wake up at 50 wondering what if." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. What if, he thought. The next morning, he decided to write. Not a book, just one page. It felt uncomfortable. Words came slowly. Doubt screamed loudly. "This is bad. No one will read this. You're wasting time." Still, he wrote. That day changed nothing on the outside, but something shifted inside. The problem with excuses is not that they are lies. It's that they are half-truths, and half-truths are harder to fight than lies. Yes, life is hard. Yes, time is limited. Yes, fear is real. But excuses turn those facts into chains. Daniel kept writing one page a day. Some days he hated it. Some days he skipped, but he always came back. Every excuse he used to make now showed up clearly. "I'm too tired" became, "I choose comfort over growth." "I don't have time" became, "This isn't my priority." "I'm not ready" became, "I'm afraid to fail." Once he named them, they lost power. Months passed. Daniel wasn't famous. He wasn't rich, but he was honest with himself for the first time. One day, his manager offered him extra work on weekends. More money, less time. Old Daniel would have said yes automatically, then complained. This time he paused. He said no. It was scary, but necessary. Excuses often come disguised as responsibility. People say, "I'm doing this for my family," when really they're avoiding risk. People say, "I'll focus on myself later," when later isn't guaranteed. Daniel learned something important. You don't stop making excuses when life becomes easy. Life becomes easier when you stop making excuses. One evening, Daniel visited Mr. Harris again. This time he shared his writing journey. Mr. Harris listened quietly. Then he said, "Most people wait for a push. Life rarely pushes, it whispers." Daniel asked, "So why do we ignore it?" Mr. Harris replied, "Because excuses are louder than whispers. Excuses love comfort. Growth lives in discomfort." Daniel realized something painful. No one was holding him back. No enemy, no system, no bad luck, just excuses. And the truth is, excuses feel good today and cost you tomorrow. People think stopping excuses means becoming harsh on yourself, but it's the opposite. It's about respecting yourself enough to try. Trying doesn't guarantee success, but excuses guarantee regret. Time passed. Daniel finished his first draft. It wasn't perfect, but it existed. That alone was a victory. He sent it to a small online platform, no expectations. A few weeks later, someone commented, "This made me feel seen. Thank you." That comment meant more than anything. Daniel smiled, not because he succeeded, but because he didn't quit. Here is the reality most people avoid. You don't need confidence to start. You don't need clarity to begin. You don't need permission to try. You need honesty. Ask yourself honestly, what excuse do I use the most? And what would happen if I stopped using it today? Excuses don't disappear overnight. They come back again and again. But every time you act despite them, they weaken. Some people wait for rock bottom to change. Wise people change before they fall. If you keep saying, "I'll start when," life will keep saying, "Too late." Health doesn't improve later. Dreams don't chase you. Skills don't grow on intention alone. Action is the only language life understands. There are people with less time than you, less money, less support, more fear, yet they move. Why? Because they decided their excuses were costing too much. One day, Daniel visited his workplace and noticed something strange. The older employees looked tired, not physically, emotionally. Regret has a look. He promised himself he wouldn't end like that. Not perfect, not fearless, but honest and trying. Years later, Daniel stood in a small bookstore holding his printed book. It wasn't a bestseller. No headlines, no applause, but it was real. And most importantly, it existed because he stopped making excuses. This story is not about writing, it's about you. Your excuse might be time, or fear, or money, or past mistakes. But here's the truth nobody tells you clearly. Excuses don't protect you from pain, they delay it. The pain of discipline is lighter than the pain of regret. Right now, as you hear these words, you are either building your future or protecting your excuses. You can't do both. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop negotiating with your fear. Stop asking for permission. Do something today. Small, imperfect, quiet. Because one honest step beats a lifetime of excuses. And remember this, you don't need to stop making excuses forever. Just stop making them today. Today is enough. If this story made you think, pause for a moment. Ask yourself honestly, what excuse am I done with? And let your actions answer.